Sure, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Yeah, I think we're just looking forward to just getting on the road again. I think anytime you go on the road, it's going to be a challenge. I think Kansas is a team that has really been, they've had a really good season thus far. They have some returners that are playing well for them, really consistent team that we're getting ready to play with a couple of good pitchers. And so obviously we had a cancellation with Wichita State, so it just gave us a little bit more time to be home and be able to prepare and just get ready for another Big 12 series.
Started off with Ryan Aber.
Yeah, Jen, wanted to start off asking about Kelly Maxwell and what that process has been like. Getting to know her and working with her. What's the biggest thing that stood out to you about her, and what have you learned, in these last few months being around her?
She's a competitor. She's got a lot of fight in her, and she's an elite pitcher. So it's exciting for me to be able to work with, with pitchers, and her stuff is really good. And it's just, kind of getting a different perspective, from her. Obviously, she's been an opponent through her career as an athlete, and it's been really fun. I think she's just literally what you see on the mound is kind of how she is every day. She gets to the field, puts her head down, goes to work. She has a good feel for her pitches, and she's smart. She's really smart. So now she's kind of seeing a different, side of things, and really opening up her understanding of the game as a whole. It's been really fun to talk through some things with her.
What are some of those things that you've talked through with her, especially since conference play began and she's sort of taken off?
Yeah, she has obviously a familiarity with hitters, so just kind of getting her vantage point. Katie has been our lefty on staff, and so to have another one with different stuff and just kind of get that perspective of what she's seen and how she's felt against opponents, and game planning with her has been really fun, kind of picking her brain a little bit on, what she wants to do and how she wants to set up hitters and get them out.
Appreciate it.
Mason and then Jesse.
Jen, you brought up Kirsten Deal. What did you think of just how she fared this weekend, and how good of a lesson was that to be in those situations, a couple innings having to work out of bases loaded?
Yeah, I think that's, ultimately been the plan with her since she stepped on campus, is to really see her have opportunities in a competitive space, and to be able to have success when she's, when the lights come on and, when the fire gets lit. She's proven this weekend that she's ready for that. So, she'll continue to be battle tested throughout every weekend. I think here in conference, just gets even more exciting, more challenging, starting with this weekend against Kansas. And so it's been fun to watch her evolve a little bit and really start to, kind of come into her own now.
Coach Patty has talked about the amount of depth in this pitching staff and how everybody's just looking for opportunities. How have you maybe approached this season just with that amount of depth, and the group as a whole? What has stood out so far?
I've been happy with the depth of our pitching staff, and it's been different to have the type of depth that we have. I think it's been a challenge for me, quite honestly, in a good way, because every one of them is relevant. There are some staffs where, I think opponents may not have to worry about whoever, quote number 5 might be your 6. And I really feel like every time we put somebody on the mound that they have an opportunity to take the ball and have success in that moment, whether it's for one batter or a whole innings or 7 innings. I really feel confident about what they're going to do when they go out there.
You mentioned maybe that challenge and how much depth is there. How do you kind of balance trying to figure out what you have, where everybody is succeeding while also getting them opportunities? What is that balance like, for you?
I don't know. I think you're kind of looking at it a little bit. It's a new space. I mean, we've had, multiple pitchers that have had success. since I've been here. This is it's a little bit different, but it's a little bit of a matchup piece at times. Again, a good balance of lefties and righties coming at us, and that's been kind of something that we've looked at as an opportunity to take advantage of some of those matchup pieces. And some of them match up better for 7 innings, and sometimes it's nice to have the opportunity to be able to plug away and, really, it's like a puzzle trying to, fit them in appropriately.
Thank you.
Bob? Yeah, Jen, I think Kelly floored us, I think, when she said she hadn't watched film before. So what were those first film sessions like, and how has she incorporated that into her game?
Yeah, I think, to the question earlier, she's a student of the game. She's the quiet student, the quiet A student that kind of sits middle of the room to the back, and is just diligently taking notes. And you keep seeing the papers show up as an A, and how are these so well written? She studies the game, and she asks really good questions, about hitters and how to approach them, and so it's added a level of processing, I think, to her game. And so try to combine her and get her to balance the opponent and how the tactical piece, and really getting her stuff to all come together and make that process simple. That's probably a good challenge, I think, that I have, is not to get her to over process, but just to really get on the mound and compete.
And then what have been your thoughts about Love's Field? And then as a pitching coach, is there a way that you can master the field, to maybe help out your pitchers?
Yeah, if we could keep every ball in the ballpark, that would be nice. But, it's Love's Field it's beautiful. And I really, just giving perspective as, a student athlete here, and watching the program from afar, and now having an upfront, a seat in the front row to Love's Field. It's amazing. It really, I'm kind of touched every time I look up and I see all these fans in the stand, and I see them show up in Oklahoma City. And then just looking around, I can't believe that it's ours. It's like when you get a new place, or you buy a new car, and you're like, gosh, it's really mine. I still find myself looking around and going, wow, this is really ours. This is home for us. And so I'm just really appreciative of what it is. The grandeur of it is awesome.
Different. Talking to JT about a month ago, sounded like, to put it nicely, he was hating the pitch clock and what that's done for how he approaches the hitter side of things. How have you found the pitch clock for you guys, as far as just the new technology, the pitch clock, a bunch of stuff that felt like changing all at once this year?
Yeah, I think it worked. I think it did work in the favor of the pitchers. It kind of puts you in a little bit of a rhythm. Initially it felt a little sped up and it felt hurried, but I think everybody's figured out, at least from the circle standpoint, of kind of how to slow the game down and how to keep yourself going in rhythm. So it's a short amount of time. 20 seconds after you catch the ball happens pretty fast, but it doesn't allow, in my mind, I think, and it doesn't allow the pitchers to over process, because you got to be ready for the next pitch. You got to be ready to move on.
Riley got a couple starts at catcher this weekend. What did you see as far as your pitchers and how they were able to communicate with her? I know it wasn't her first time starting a catcher, but what did you see from her this weekend?
Yeah, she's done a great job. She's a great catcher, and that's something that we saw in the recruiting process and trying to get her here was her catching skills are really good. She does a good job with our pitchers, and kind of helps. She's communicating with the umpire and getting in the flow. Obviously having to see 3 to 4 to 5 pitchers on a weekend. Getting her in communication with all of them, because they all need something a little bit different. But she's done a really nice job in transition, and is just really taking it like a professional. So I really have enjoyed watching her work back there.
Anything else for Coach? Ryan?
Yeah, I know, obviously everybody's got a little bit different personality, but I want to ask you about Peyton's in particular, and what stands out to you about her demeanor and the way that she sort of attacked her role?
Yeah, I think she's got a ton of energy when she gets on the mound, so you can kind of really that she has the ability to change the energy of a room, and she would do that even if she walked through the door right now. And I think that's what I appreciated again just in the recruiting process and talking to her. She's hungry to learn, eager to learn, and now it's kind of growing up and really figuring out how to manage the game from an emotional standpoint, getting fired up, but then being able to turn around and get ready, for the next pitch. And so I really enjoy working with her. It's always fun to have a pitcher that is like just wants to be a sponge and really wants to learn a lot. So she allows me to feed her a little bit of that, and then hopefully I'm giving her the energy that just kind of goes, okay, we're going to go up and we're going to come right back down and we're going to be right here, but still able to like manage a game. So I've really enjoyed my time with her.
Do you need a pitching staff that has a little bit of a balance of, somebody like that with that energy and the more calming influence, with some of the other places?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it's good. Sometimes you need a little crazy, and sometimes you need a little cool, and sometimes it's good to have a little bit of everything. And so, I think the energy in the bullpen has ebbs and flows, and sometimes we can stay there for a little bit, but we just got to be able to get work done at the same time.
Appreciate it.
Ryan Chapman.
We talked last couple of years about getting graduate transfer pitchers acclimated, whether it be like Hope, Alex, Kelly. What's it like the last off season, like fall up to now, for someone like Nicole, who's in her 4th year, same stat? Like, what do you hone in on? How do you try to continue to push that development forward with someone that has been here for the whole career?
Yeah, I think Nicole's been great. I mean, I think every year we've had, a new project, maybe a new pitch to work on, and being able to get her overall makeup as a pitcher well balanced. Every pitcher has probably a couple of pitches that they're really good at. And then you want to, in my mind, you want to have that with a change of speed and, be able to balance the whole pitching profile out. And so every year she's worked hard to get that. She's always had the ability to throw, rise balls and be able to work, up in the zone. And then it's just, complementing that with all the other stuff that she can do. So she's another one who's a really good student of the game, asks good questions and prepares herself well. So I don't know, I think sometimes it just starts as simple as fundamental with somebody like her as a freshman, and then you slowly start adding things on that they need to learn about the game, or they need to learn about themselves, or the whole mentality of how to approach pitching at the highest level. I think she's had it all. She's obviously experienced with this senior class, a really successful. She's had a successful career. And now she gets to lead others. She's had other people in front of her lead her, and now she's kind of pulling into that role of being able to, kind of share information about what she knows about what we do, and then able to show it on the mound at the same time. So I really appreciate what she's done, and the amount of growth that she and I both really have done together. I think we kind of, came in a year apart, but I feel like I've grown up with her too.
Last one from Mason.
What's it been like working with Carly Keeny and just the transition from having to be an innings eater to now getting to be a little bit more in relief, shorter spurts, and let her stuff play up a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, she's the ultimate, kind of program guy, I think, of our staff, and she's had a lot of success in her career. She's very mature. She had a tough fall, obviously, with an injury. And so now it's kind of a crash course on, like, throw her into the fire and this is it. Like, let's go and just kind of do what you do. And at the same time of, allowing her the space to learn about, what it is to kind of pitch under pressure and come in the middle of a game, come in to save a game, come in, to relieve and get us out of an inning. It has been a little different role for her. She's been a starter her whole career and carried her team before she got here. And so I put a lot of value into what she does, and she's just a cool, I don't know, I just enjoy watching her on the mound, but she is learning as she's going right now in season because she didn't get the fall to do that.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.